Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Last time I was on live, I was having some issues of reading the comments or responding to them, so hopefully that won't be an issue now. Anyways, if you don't know, I am Anthony or Spoken Anthony. Hope everybody is doing well. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Now, the first thing I wanted to talk about was Doja Cat. Now, I'll be honest with you. When Doja Cat first came out and I heard the song Moo Cow, I honestly thought that's a creative, sexy ass woman. That was my first thought. It really was. And I was very happy to see the rise of Doja Cat initially. And then as time went on, and here's the thing about us people when it comes to celebrity, for some reason, uh, a lot of us, I won't say all of us, but a lot of us have very short term memories to the BS that they do or say. So I remember that it came out that she was in these tiny chat rooms, which I never heard of back then and really haven't heard of them since. Uh, Tiny chat rooms with white alt right people, things of that nature, right? I'm on YouTube, so I gotta be careful what stuff I say because certain words trigger them the wrong way. So when I saw some of the comments that have been made to her, some of the jokes that she was joking about, and I was very disappointed. Even though she doesn't have a true Black American background, 'cause I believe her father is South African, her mother is Jewish. It's just the fact that she grew up here and around the people. And even before she became a famous singer slash rapper, she was a breakdancer. So she was deeply involved around the culture. But for her to take part in some type of fetish like that is it's kind of crazy, in my opinion. And after that, I didn't care for anything she did. I didn't listen to any more of her music. I didn't follow her on any platforms. The only time I heard Doja Cat is whenever she was doing some more BS in the industry, like her dressing up as a devil, her past tweets about allegedly these past homophobic tweets that she had, a lot of the past quote unquote racist comments she did. That's all I heard from Doja was just controversy after controversy, and it outshadowed her music. Even like making up songs like "Don't Do That" or her Nas song. When I first heard Nas, I was like, "Oh, okay, so it's like a homage or to Nas." No, it was a "Ninjas Ain't Ish," and I was like, "Okay," and "Don't Do That" for making fun of police brutality, all this other kind of stuff. So when I heard Doja and then the devil stuff when it came to Doja, I was just like, you know what? I'm not messing with Doja. I don't, F her. I don't care. It was always one thing after another after another. Something could have been made up, something could have been true. I don't know. I didn't sit and rock with Doja. And let's see, a lot of people, hey, Carlton Allen, hi. Yashi, hi. Howard, hi. Hope you all doing well. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. I'm just talking about the stuff that's going on right now. So here's the thing about Doja and what it appears to be, especially for dating history. It always appeared that she wanted white acceptance. And this is key. So when you have a woman that's biracial that has pretty much uh, never really praised anything from her black side except for her curves, um, when she wants Sydney Sweeney, right? She wants Sweeney in the whole entire not Levi, American Eagle, which I haven't heard the words American Eagle put together in a sentence towards jeans in almost 20 years. I didn't even know there was still a brand that was still around. But when I hear her mocking Sydney Sweeney, I felt like that was more jealousy. If you want me to be honest with you, can you name a car for my edit? Um, I'm not really a big car guy, to be honest with you. I will say this: that if I was to buy a car, it would probably be a Audi. I forgot which one. It was the one that has a V8 engine in it. I can think of it right now. But yeah, anyways, back to what I was saying about her and Sydney Sweeney. Um, When she was mocking Sydney Sweeney for the Gene ad, I felt like that came from a place of jealousy because she always wanted to be accepted and loved like Sydney Sweeney is. Is Sydney Sweeney my cup of tea? Not really, but I can understand why everybody finds her attractive. I won't say everybody, why a good majority of people find her attractive when she has to push as she does. She's not really necessarily afraid to push boundaries. She doesn't really apologize for things or people she's around or says. She's just who she is. That's just who she is. And I can respect that. I can respect the person who's their authentic selves and don't apologize and just be fake. So with that being said, that Doja, it's just she's so freaking annoying. I'm so tired of Doja Cat. I'm so tired of the comments. I'm so tired of negativity. I'm just tired of Doja. It got to the point to where you would think, honestly, at this point, I'm starting to think that Doja Cat's an industry plant. And the main reason I'm starting to think that Doja Cat's an industry plant, because most things that had people, quote unquote, canceled or had their career harmed over the years, like when she made homophobic remarks, when she made racial comments, when she just does devilish, questionable stuff, allegedly, right, with the whole entire makeup and things of that nature. It normally impacts people's careers in a negative way, but it never did with Doja. But Doja is seen to propel her career, and it seems like she hasn't been hurt, and that's why it seems like she's more of a plant to me, if I'm being really honest with you. But that's fine though. When it comes to Doja, I just feel like her mocking Sydney Sweeney came from a part of jealousy. She really didn't care. She really didn't care about the whole entire jeans comment. She was just mad because people don't look at her like people look at Sydney Sweeney. That's how I really feel when it comes to Doja Cat and her mocking her. Now, if that would have came from anybody else, I probably would have taken more serious. But the way Doja has carried herself, I don't say that's just an embarrassment. You just might as well not have comment on the whole entire Sydney Sweeney American Eagle Gene ad. And yeah, oh yeah. By the way, my name is Anthony. If you haven't already subscribed and comment, please do so. And I'm just picking some random topics going on. And if y'all want to talk about something that's big in here, I'm here. I'm gonna be up for a little while. Uh, that Nighttime Assassins, cool name. I love you, bro. Love you too. I love everybody. But here's the thing, though. Is Sydney Sweeney like necessarily talented? I honestly, the only thing I could think of Sydney Sweeney being in is just Euphoria. And truthfully, I didn't watch Euphoria when it first came out. I think I didn't watch Euphoria until the pandemic happened. And I was just had nothing else to do being trapped in the house 24/7. So I ended up watching the show. And her role was not the standout role to me. It was God, what's her name? The Hispanic woman. The mean Hispanic woman who was mean but vulnerable and loyal at the same time. I cannot think of her name right now, but she was a standout character to me. Not even what's her name? The famous actress, the mixed girl. God, what is her name? Mixed woman. She was in a Spider-Man movie. She had Casey on the cover. It's gonna drive me crazy. I can't think of her name right now. You see, this is why I like being at my computer, because when I'm at my computer, I can look up stuff pretty easily. It's gonna come to me later. Anyways, yeah, she wasn't even the standout. It was more of that Hispanic woman, the Hispanic cheerleading woman. She was a standout because she has so much range of emotions. You saw her vulnerable, you saw her vindictive, you saw her upset and heartbroken, you saw her betrayed. She was a standout character for me in all of Euphoria. That and the little kid that didn't really talk. I can't think of his name either. See, I should have been on my computer recording this. Anyways, moving that forward, eugenics and whiteness and things of that nature, I want to talk about return to the land. Now, I know there's a lot of people upset about the whole entire return to the land thing. Or actually, I take that back. It's the direct opposite. I haven't seen a lot of people upset about the return to the land. A lot of people just don't care. If you want to be all white, form your own town, and whatever white American culture is, because I'm still kind of confused on that. because most white American quote unquote cultures is taken from somewhere else. I'm just trying to figure out what they're going to do and build that's going to represent white American culture. Truthfully, I'm looking forward to seeing it just for that reason alone. I want to see what they think white American culture is. I really do. And you know what? In those towns, I don't want to say something that's not gonna. I'm gonna say something that a lot of people don't not gonna agree with. You know, if you're in America or you're American, and especially if you're in the South, you know, uh, white people in general uh, don't. Well, I would say the alt white people in general don't want black people around. They want us gone. Yada yada yada. Same for Hispanics and things of that nature. They want the cities and stuff to themselves. They think all these negative stereotypes, even though they have their hands in every single pot of government and everything else, right? But the funny part about it is, whenever black people, we did build our own towns, and I mean, you could do a quick Google search, you could go to Chat GBC, you could go to DeepSeek, you could pull up a list of towns that were burnt down, drowned by floods, or just demolished all by white people. So whenever black people did separate ourselves away from white people and made our own towns, 9 times out of 10, it was burnt down, flooded, or destroyed by white people. So they didn't want us to have our own stuff. So they destroy our stuff. They purposely integrate us into their system, but then try to segregate us. We all along you just could have left us alone and have our own towns. And that's the crazy part about it. Because if you think about it, if you look at places like Chinatowns in major cities, they just had like towns there. They have little boroughs, little areas. Same thing with Hispanic places. But us black people, we actually build our own towns, cities, and communities that are all burnt down, taken down, all this other kind of stuff, right? And I say this because we always found a way to make our own country our own way, and we did it without any help. I guarantee you, this place of return to the land is going to be looking for government assistance, government grants, and eventually, the town is going to it's going to go away because it's going to be boring. It's going to be really boring. I don't see it succeeding just for the fact that I don't see they know how to survive without appropriating other people's cultures. Because that's why I say I actually look forward to seeing this place return their land. I look forward to seeing what their buildings are going to look for. I look forward to seeing how they're farming. I look forward to seeing what their entertainment. I look forward to seeing um, the culture that they say is white American culture. Because let's be real here, white American culture historically has never really been a good thing. The only reason America is popularized as much as it is because of the minorities, majority of black people. When you think of sports and entertainment, you think of black people. When you think of you don't necessarily think of like inventions or interventions, but that's a lot of black people too. So it's just hell, even when it comes to the wars that we fight in the black brigades that I did plenty of stuff, or black soldiers that had to stand up, it's just it's just something interesting. And like I said, I really do look forward to seeing how this white town return to the land is going to go. I hope they get as many people as they get. I hope that town that return to the land people, whatever you want to call it, I genuinely hope they get at least 100,000 people that will move there. I hope that for at least they get 100,000 people that will move there. I'm gonna pull Umar Johnson. I hope that at least they get 100,000 people that move there and try to build a town and sustain themselves. And I'm be curious how many people will actually stay after the whole entire after a year, if they even get to a year trying to build a place. I have a feeling that place is going to bottom out pretty fast. And I'll tell you why. When I was younger, when I was like 18, 19 years old, I moved away from home and I moved into a small town because I was able to afford work and a decent place to stay relatively cheap there, right? But that small city I moved to was next to a small sundown town. Now, that small sundown town, the white man was they were how white they behaved like white men that didn't like black men, right? That's nothing new. But the white women, the white women were very curious, and I kid you not, those racist white women would not to be pretend not to be racist, and they were hooking up with all the Hispanic and black men in town. They would lead their son downtown, go into that small city, and hook up with all the black and Hispanic men they could. I kid you not. And it was the craziest thing. And when I say that was a sundown town, it was a true sundown town. It had one light. But they were hooking up with Hispanics and black left and right. It was that was some of the easiest. If you wanted some easy, you know what, you would talk to one of them because they'll be so mesmerized and intrigued about the other side of it to the point that they would cheat on their husbands and their boyfriends and like sneak out of the house and do all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And I say this because we have people that's gonna be an all white town separated from everybody, right? And and if they're truly just going to embrace just white culture, whatever that is, because does that mean that they're just not going to watch any more sports or movies or entertainment or music that's been popularized through all genres? I don't know. But there are women who are conservative, conservative, Christian, white women. They're going to get frustrated and bounce. It happens all the time. And you know what? I didn't know when I was younger that there were so many alleged racist white women that were going into town hooking up with black and Hispanic men nonstop, cheating on their husbands, talking crap. But whenever you see them with their husbands, they'll be just as nasty as ugly. Anyways, I got this new gimbal. Again, if you haven't already, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's just what I find interesting. So, historically speaking, let's go ahead and do a brief recap. White people in white towns find reasons to go into black people's town, destroy their stuff, loot it, and then take it for their own, right? Their women tend to have a habit of trying to hook up with men of other color and races. It happens all the time. Same thing with white men too. And I remember there was this book I read. It was from a pimp called Slim. Very good book, and he talks about that a little bit too. Yeah, he just talks about that a lot. But it is what it is there. And then what was the other thing? Shannon Sharp. Shannon freaking Sharp. When I say that was the biggest disappointment that I have ever seen with Shannon Sharp. And the main reason I am very disappointed when it comes to Shannon Sharp, because he presented himself as such a militant, hardworking, no nonsense man, but he failed to do the most practical thing, and that was practice dick discipline. He failed to practice dick discipline. And because he failed to do that, it cost him somewhere between 10 to $25 million. I heard all kinds of numbers. He paid out 10 million. He paid out 23 million. Either way, though, he paid out millions of dollars to a young, I think she's 21, 22-year-old woman who now retired from her OF career and living her life. In fact, I saw she took a picture today and posted it, talking about she had some type of surgery on his dime. And the crazy part about that is all that money that he gave her won't go to none of his family. right? So none of that money go to his family. None of that money go towards retirement. He essentially paid for another woman to take care of another man and whatever family she may have. So she may end up getting married to, I don't know. I don't even think she's really American. So she could just up and leave, go to wherever she came from and live a happy life there. And all she had to do was sleep with one man. I mean, hell, and that's not a bad deal if you think about it, because most women sleep for men and don't get nothing from it. I still remember whenever he got onto Ocho Cinco, I think for being late and yelling at him, talking to him like a damn child. All the while, he wasn't disciplined himself. He Brad, or not Brad, he did things like, oh, you want to get to this next level, Ocho. You got to take it seriously, blah, 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 blah. And here he is. He was right there with that alleged $100 million deal at that next level that he was so determined to get to. And he dropped the ball. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they offered Ocho a deal and let Shannon out of it. Because hell, he just got fired from ESPN. He literally just got fired from ESPN today. So you mean to tell me this man worked so hard? He worked so hard to get to this point, to get these millions of dollars, and there's nothing for it. Hmm. Anyways, that's all I was really had to tell you on those real quick topics. I just kind of want to get on. I was working on doing like a full video for my desktop and video clips and all this other kind of stuff. I was doing research and I was like, you know what? I really don't want to spend that much time talking about it. I was even going to go into who is the marketing director of American Eagle, which I still think I'm going to go ahead and do because he's very proud. He is very proud of his ad campaign. Even though you see all these fake ads of American Eagle apologizing and stuff, um, they're not sorry. They're just happy that they're getting all these extra millions of dollars from a campaign. It's one of those things that if you made so much extra money for controversy, will you ever be sorry for it? No, because you're not losing business. People are only ever sorry when they lose business. When you mess with their money, that's when they're sorry. When they got to pay a consequence to the court, that's when they're sorry. That's when they understand empathy and consequences. Outside of that, they don't give a care about you being mad online. So, when you see Doja Cat making fun of or mocking the American Eagle ad and Sydney Sweeney, when you see people writing all these trigger finger posts, I just find it funny because they do not give a damn. Because at the end of the day, you are not impacting their bottom line. And unless you impact their bottom line, there's nothing you can do or say. That mouth was getting dry. I gotta start bringing bottles of water, I swear. But I see people keep popping in and out. Thank you. My name is Anthony, Spoken Anthony. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you have something you want to talk about, just put it in the chat. I appreciate it. Always appreciate every single little thing. But I got a question though. If you were Sydney Sweeney, would you have done that ad? And that's why I think Sydney Sweeney doesn't necessarily have a brain of her own. I just feel like she just gets told what to do and she says okay and do it, does it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because the one thing I could say about her, she doesn't talk. Outside of movie roles, I cannot think I haven't seen Instagram posts of her talking. I haven't seen a Twitter post, a YouTube video. I haven't seen her talking or say anything about anything. If I'm being really honest with you, I haven't seen her opinion. In fact, the only thing I recall her talking about, and truthfully, that wasn't her verbally talking; it was a written response. Whenever she had ouch, they were at a family event, and that family event had a bunch of MAGA Trump hats and stuff like that for family members, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Sydney Sweeney must be a Trump supporter." All this other. I forgot what she said. I don't really care. You know what? I think anybody that's rich was a Trump supporter and voted for the man. To be honest with you, if you make more than $500,000 a year, you probably voted for Trump. If you have more than $1 million in it, hell, if you have more of more than $300,000 in the bank, you most likely voted for Trump. And that's what people did because, that's what was popular. This gimbal thing is kind of cool. So I can't get mad at her for following the bandwagon. They probably told her, like, hey, you know what? You got to vote for this man. Can't get mad at that. But yeah, that's the only thing I would really call Sydney Sweeney ever talking about. It wasn't even talk. It was a post that she wrote. Yeah. Anyways, so I am about to get out of here. I am tired. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a great day or night because it's evening.